So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, March the 10th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can call in, and someone named it, I'm going to keep it, Tell It All Tuesday. Tell It All Tuesday. Tell it, tell it, tell it, tell it all Tuesday. You can call in by calling us at 1-877 532-5797, 1-877 532-5797, or you can go to the message board, and on the message board you can send me a message at nationalactionnetwork.net live stream, and I'll read as many as I can. And James Thomas is on the board saying, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, and happy Telling It Like It Is Tuesday to you and all of the chat room. Tell it, tell it, tell it. Just tell it Tuesday. Tell it like it is Tuesday. I see the Mayor Rodney Jones, is on the message board saying, good afternoon, my shepherd. Well, good afternoon back at you. And he says, keep it real. And Demetrius Jones is saying, good afternoon, Reverend Al. America, he does with K's, is surely great. Gasolina, this is talk about Make America Great Again he's referring to. Gasolina is now through the roof. What a travesty. And there's no doubt about that. And I thought I saw Martise Chisholm from Memphis, Tennessee, Nan. I can't wait to Martise in the chap to get up to the convention next months. It's good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. Two unsung heroes I want to lift up is Berdia Kegler, my great-grandmother, and Adelina Hamlet. Both of them sacrifices their lives for our voting rights. Oh, wow. I'd like to hear more about that, Martise. Both of them sacrificed their lives. This is Women's History Month, and I've been asking people to give me some great women in history. Martise gave us hers. Georgia Daniels is on the message board saying, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. Tell it, keep it real in Toledo, Ohio. So from all over the country, people already checking in. Let me say, it has been, a press conference was held today by the Secretary of Defense that they renamed it Secretary of War, saying that this is going to be the most intense day of U.S. strikes on Iran. They've chosen in Iran a new supreme leader who is the son of the supreme leader they killed. He says, I'm not giving an inch up. So Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has warned that today will mark the most intense day of U.S. military strikes inside Iran, while Iran simultaneously launched retaliatory attacks against Israel and targets across the Gulf region. Now, as global oil prices surge, this is hitting us at home. As they surge and fluctuate, Donald Trump has threatened, quote, death, fire, and fury if Iran blocks the critical Strait of Hormuz, which Iranian leaders responded by warning they could stop all Middle East oil shipments, saying not 1 liter of oil, not 1 liter of oil. And it's getting down to the wire, and we'll see who is bluffing and who is going to do what they have to do. Now, Trump says it's too soon to talk about seizing Iran's oil, as he said in a press availability. But he doesn't rule it out, which I hope nobody thought he was going to rule that out. Donald Trump left open the possibility the U.S. could seize and control Iranian oil reserves as the war with Iran continues. Iran produces 5%. I want y'all to get this down. Iran produces 5% of the world's oil, and roughly 80% of its crude exports go to China. Any U.S. move to take control of Iranian oil could heighten tensions with China, which is while the oil prices have already surged above $100 a barrel. And that is part of what we need to understand. While Trump and the MAGA crowd is purporting their wolf tickets, as I would call it, let's not forget that you've got China backing Iran. 80% of its crude exports goes to China. So Iran is in business with China and much more than one would assume by all this woofing President Trump is doing. And any U.S. moves, that, as I said, to control the Iranian oil, given that they're the crude consumers, China, it could be wicky. And at the same time, that's on the international level. Domestically, Trump is saying that he's calling on the Congress to pass the Save America Act, which requires vote ID, proof of citizenship to vote, saying he may hold off on legislation until that action was taken. Meanwhile, he attended a dignified transfer ceremony in Dover, Delaware, for 6 U.S. servicemen. Then Representative Benny Thompson faces primary challenge from millennial ex-Senate aide in his race former Democratic Congressman Benny Thompson, who has served since 1993, is facing a primary challenge in Mississippi's second congressional district from 34-year-old attorney Evan Tarnage, a former aide to Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren, and he's playing on the generational divide. So on Tell It All Tuesday, you see Al Green is in a race runoff in Texas. You see Benny Thompson is being challenged, both in their late 70s, and I think Al Green is in his 80s. One of the things I think we need to discuss is what is the retirement age one thinks that a elected official or a leader in our community should have. You hear all of this changing of the guard talk. Is there age limit or age preference, or is it when someone no longer has the capacity to lead and can still function? Because I hear a lot of chitter-chatter, but I'm not too sure that all of that is, well, some of it is just people wanting to get in their positions of dream or the dreams of they position themselves for, and can't win an honor, so they try to act like it's a generational fight. Some are young and ambitious and feel somebody's in the way. So how do we deal with this generation thing? Should there be a retirement age, and or should it be based on their capacity? And then what establishes young people's capacity just because they're young? I know some young people that don't have full capacity. I know some old people that's very wise. So let's talk about that today. Let's talk about Iran. As they say, this is the most intense day. Let's talk about how Senator Thune, the Republican majority leader in the Senate, says no to filibuster change. He is protecting the filibuster of his colleagues. Lot to talk about. Certainly, New York Times had a big story today that we were involved in around voting rights. There is the real and clear intention to put the SAVE Act in, put us in the voting rights, and it being cut down in any way they could lessen and bring down any of the impact. They will do it. So let's get ready to take a break. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton. Tell It All Tuesday. Be right back. I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Sheard knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the car center, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to us, Al, Meeks, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said, disciples? And for years we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior said, here's disciple number one. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return. But I talked to him about 3 years ago, and I reminded him, I said, remember when you brought me to the door of no return? He said, yeah. I said, well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you had.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain, but love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and tell it all Tuesday. There's so much to tell. I mean, between the war in Iran, they are still trying to distance themselves from revealing everything on the Epstein file. Between the fact that voting rights, we could get a ruling any day now that would take out Section 2, which is taking out race from the Voting Rights Act, which erases our voter protection. And I mean, on and on and on. And you should have an opinion, because it all affects you. And you should be ready to tell it. And I am opening up the phones for you to be able to tell your part. You don't have to speak to nobody saying, I hope they like what I'm saying. Speak your soul. 1-877-532-5797. James Mitchell says on the message board, sadly, on this day in 1913, we lost the great emancipator, Harriet Tubman. She acted in many roles to free her people from bondage: conductor, spy, nurse, guide, food bearer, etc. We lost Harriet Tubman today in 1913. That's a great woman to raise up on our Women's History Month. Let me say by way of announcements, be at the Saturday rally. I'll be here. I only miss maybe one or two a year. I missed last weekend because of Reverend Jackson's funeral. but I'll be there this Saturday and all the way through our convention. We're at temporarily the Mother AME Zion Church, which is on 137th Street and Lenox Avenue, Lenox and 7th in Harlem. And I got a special message I want to do for Women's History Month. So be there with us Saturday, 9 to 11, 137th, between Lenox and 7th. And of course, I think Reverend Malcolm Bird, who is our COO in the organization, also pastors that church, Church Frederick Douglass, and Paul Robeson, and Paul Robeson's brother pastored the church at one point. All of these freedom fighters come out of that church. It's a great location for us to have the Saturday rallies while we're transitioning into NAN's new headquarters. And I'm going to be announcing headquarters and the people that's speaking in various capacities at NAN's convention probably by the end of the week. I'm waiting on one thing, and I'm going to lay it all out. All right, don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Let me tell you something. With this Iran situation, where they're still not extending the Affordable Care Act, I've got some leading members of the Senate that can block, and I've got some leading governors on this weekend. Make sure you watch it. 5 o'clock Saturday, 5 o'clock Sunday. You ought to want to know what's going on in the world you in and be given some sound information. Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, Saturday and Sunday on Impact Television, or I'm sorry, on MS Now. I'm giving you the membership. MS Now, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. And lastly, the NAN Convention. We're about 100 seats away from closing the door on pre-registration. If you're coming April 8th through the 11th, those 4 days, maybe you can only do one, maybe do two. Register and say, I'll only be there one day, I'll only be there 2 days, or I'll be there all 4. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's start in Cleveland with Demetrius. Demetrius, you can get started. We may run up on a break, then I'll just hold you over. But you're keeping it real on Tell It Tuesday with Al Sharpton.
Hey, thank you, Reverend Sharpton, for letting me speak today, and enjoy the rest of the commentary the rest of the day. I just want to comment concerning the elections coming up, the midterms, and restrictions they're trying to put on the election. I believe, a true democracy, they would try to make it easier for people to vote instead of making it more difficult.
Right.
Because that's the whole purpose of democracy. It is citizens have their right to express how they feel by going to the polls. Instead of this administration and want the Supreme Court to make it more difficult for people by wanting to have IDs, a certain type of ID, driver license. It seems like as long as a person have a picture ID that can prove their residency, that would be enough for them to have the right to vote. Because to me, it's unfair for certain districts, like say where penitentiaries are, or the people in the prisons, if they can't vote, yet the cities and the villages that have those penitentiaries, they can count those prisoners as residents, and they can get money from the state and from the federal government.
And have been known to do it.
Yeah, they have known to do that. And that's unjust. But at the same time, they don't want to give the prisoners a right to vote. Yet they want to make it difficult for people to go to the polls around the country. And to me, if they're not going to change the law to make it fair for all citizens to vote, even though they may be incarcerated, they still the citizens. They still have the right to vote. So, but yeah, at the same time, they're going to make it difficult for those who are outside the penitentiary as well, the radical citizens, to vote.
They're making a mockery by doing that. But I think what you started with is the point. I thought they were fighting for a democracy. And a democracy, you want everybody to participate. So clearly, that's not where they're at. And thank you. I'm going to let you continue. But I see on the message board, Jabbar Rose is listening to us. Blessings, my Keeping It Real and Nan family. Have a blessed day. Checking in from Cinnamon. Okay, Cinnamon. But go ahead, Demetrius, because you're right. They're not practicing democracy at home because they're trying this whole situation with us going back to voter ID to SAVE Act. And they're not dealing with it abroad because they're not going in these countries, Venezuela, Iran, trying to institute a fair election. He said, I'll help pick the next president. That's not democratic.
No, it's sure not. That's just really dominating that country, not giving the people in the country the right to vote. And if they do have the people the right to vote, they picking the candidates. They're giving them the free choice. They give candidates who they want them to vote for. And the people decide who they want to vote for in the country. And also, when it's coming up to the elections, I believe the Democratic Party, the candidates they put forward, especially the ones who consider themselves progressive, they didn't make sure that the progressive candidates are, are electable. They don't want anyone running who's so far left, that the average American is not going to vote for them. Because when those candidates don't win, we get someone like Donald Trump and vote into office. Because those who wouldn't vote for Donald Trump, they scared to vote for a candidate who they fear is too far from their basic beliefs. And the ones who suffer it's the poor and the working class.
Right.
So you have someone far right like Donald Trump, they're going to cut benefits, they're going to cut education. But those who, some of them call themselves progressive, some of them have steady jobs. Some of them won't be affected by the cut for those who win.
And it's not even where they're saying that we'll give you a choice of how in depth it is. They're saying take Black History Month out, take this out, take this. Let's take the break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, you're on the phones, 1-877-532-5797. Be right back.
Hey, Red,
which one is that?
But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We don't want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, at ACP, with the Defense Forces together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of Keeping It Real. 2 decades of truth-telling, fearless advocacy, and keeping the people informed and empowered. Thank you for always speaking power to justice and standing firm for what's right. Here's to 20 years of impact and many more to come.
But Reverend, it looks bad now. Look at Iran. Look at what's going on in Minnesota. Look on. Yeah, but I was raised by them to realize that after storms, if we do the right thing in the storm, if we organize, if we register, if we do what we're supposed to do, there's always a rainbow coming out. The rainbow don't show until the storm is over. The rainbow gonna come out in November. The rainbow gonna come out in 28. We gonna fix these tricks in 26 and march through the gates in 28. We didn't come this far to turn around now. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back.
Around this is so wicked. Now they're going to, they released last night a memo that said that the FBI was investigating good. They're trying to come up with something on the victim. Not they gonna investigate who shot her. The ICE agent shooting in the head 3 times. They're gonna investigate her. And you wonder why we need movements. You wonder why we need to stand up. Hakeem Jeffries was here Monday. Why we need to deal with this midterm election. Well, Reverend, I get calls on my radio show every day. Well, I don't see where voting changed something. All right, let me tell you where, if they lose the Congress this year, where it changes. The Speaker would be Hakeem Jeffries, who grew up right here in Nagin. as he said on Monday. The Speaker decides then the calendar for the legislative session. The chairs of the committees become Democrats. So the Judiciary Committee, now watch this in the barbershop. The chair of the Judiciary Committee, y'all saw the Judiciary Committee have the hearing and brought in the special counsel yesterday. Well, the chair this time, if the Democrats win, would be a Democrat who could then subpoena the Attorney General Bondi, all of the folks that were involved.
5797. Let's go back to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio. Demetrius.
You think of that, Sharpton. I'll just be briefly. When you brought up Black history, I agree because they can't just eliminate the truth about Black history and about history in general, just to try to make America look in a favorable light. It got to be the whole truth about the people who've been oppressed in this country. Because those who've been oppressed, they just see things as they are. They'll never know why they're in the situation they are in certain instances, and why they deserve to get more than what they have.
Right.
And not to accept being taken second class under citizenship. It's also important, for the youth to know the Black people accomplish things. When it comes to the ventures, when it comes to fighting wars, when their contribution to music, contribution to civil rights and human rights, contribution to business as well, so they know they can accomplish those goals. If they don't, all they're going to read in the books is what some of the governments want to put there, to think their life began in slavery here in America, and all they can achieve for their jobs, hard labor jobs. They never can be doctors, lawyers, own businesses, or be other parts of citizenship to use their mind. I mean, that's why it is important, and not those who not just put in textbooks, especially African Americans, Latinos, and Native Americans, that never accomplish anything. So it's up to us, to put pressure on the legislatures and also to teach people to believe in themselves. Because it is overall plan just to, I believe, just have people believe they can't accomplish certain things and not to reach the higher goal to acquire the jobs where other people have. They want to pass on to their children, those who control the means. And also when it comes to the wars that's going on, say, in Iran and the other places, especially in Iran, and with the economy here, the gas prices going up, food's going to go up because all the links to gasoline, so the food has to be transported. The machines have to be ran. And
they're transporting the gasoline to where?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they transport. Say the gasoline that they transport, it costs money.
Right.
To especially go to the different cities. Say the transit system as well.
Right.
Now the buses need gasoline, so later the bus fare is going to go up. They're going to say, well, they have to spend more money for
everything is going up. In fact, they're saying it may be worse than they had predicted. And I saw in a press conference today, even Trump said, well, things may go up temporarily, but it's going to be for the better in the long run. He never even conceded that temporary before. But you can't tell people that are pulling in the gas stations and they're seeing a 20, 30, 40% increase that they are, you can't blame that one on Biden or Obama. So he had to concede that.
That's right. And lastly, I just would say, when people wanted someone to run the country, and they don't take it seriously what a dictator would do, they look at the prices, like say the gasoline, food, housing, transportation. That's what happens when you have a dictator in office.
Right.
Someone who want to be a dictator, because they don't care about nobody but themselves. They don't care if the people suffer. Because the people don't have no way, to have any control of the dictator. Because the dictator make sure they don't have no rights to vote. If they do, they don't have any candidates that he wants them to vote for. And when people don't take heed of what Donald Trump trying to do, they look at their pocketbook. They look at the prices they are paying for food. They families members going out to war, and they don't even know why the United States fighting a war in Iran. This is what happens when you have a dictator. So they let some people understand a little more, what this country is going to and what will happen in the future. If they don't stand up and try to alleviate this problem before it get worse.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call, always, Demetrius from Cleveland. I see Mayor Rodney Jones is on our chat page, our page on nationalactionnetwork.net and our message board. He says calling him a loser. He's talking about Trump calling a member of the military a loser because he was shot down and was a POW. He was talking about Senator John McCain. Trump got out of serving because a doctor diagnosed him with bone spurs. Bone spurs, really? That's why his medical records weren't public. Many feel that that doctor was, let's say, given a reason to find him bone spurs and disqualify him. He had an incentive. All right, let's go back to the phones. Hey, let's go to my activist extraordinaire in Chicago, to Sister Pam. Pam, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hello, Reverend Sharpton.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing
How
good.
Are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. It's good to hear you. I so appreciate you, Reverend Sharpton. I'm sorry, Reverend Sharpton. I'm going to try to call back. I'm sorry.
All right. I'll get you. No problem. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Disco Brian.
Rev, I want Demetrius to write a book that I want to read. Please. Thank you for taking my call, Rev. I have really good news I want to start with, Rev. At 3:30 today, my beautiful wife, Lindsay, and I have an interview with State Senator Sharif Street, running to represent District 3 here in Germantown in Philadelphia. And we're going to be talking to him. I met him over the weekend, and he's the greatest, the most down-to-earth man, politician or otherwise I've ever met. And it's just going to be an incredible honor to talk to him about his campaign and about the information warfare happening online. And so it's all thanks to you, Rev, because you came here at Monumental Baptist Church. It was my first time seeing State Senator Sharif Street, and ever since then it's just been wonderful. So thank you, Rev. I want to talk about David Hogg, the Democratic, I don't know what he is, strategist, the white kid who was part of the March for Our Lives movement. He was on Mehdi Hassan's show on Zateo 3 days ago, denouncing the old guard and warning that he's coming for the establishment Democrats, whatever that means, whatever that label is. I've never heard anyone really define that label. Of course, Senator Sanders uses it all the time, to castigate anybody that he doesn't think is effectively progressive.
Well, let me ask you this. Go ahead and finish. But talking about the old guard, who's older than Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders is like 83,
I don't know,
years
Rev.
old. People use all kind of craziness to try to fit in. Age has nothing to do with it. Nelson Mandela didn't get out of jail till his mid-70s, and he led South Africa. What does that got to do with anything? How do you have a progressive movement led by a guy in his middle 80s and tell everybody else to sit down unless you just so inept and incompetent you can only use being younger as an excuse? I mean, that's crazy.
It's insane, Rev. It's insane. So here's this kid, David Hogg, who just stinks of white entitlement. right? And he's celebrated by Mehdi Hassan, a noted anti-Israel, anti-Zionist journalist with deep roots in the far, far left. And here's the crazy thing, another crazy thing, Rev. David Hogg is equally celebrated by pro-Zionist, pro-Israel comedian Bill Maher,
Right.
who high-fived David Hogg last time he was on his show, when David Hogg said what he wants men to do is get back to doing what young men should be doing, which is trying to get laid. And Bill Maher thought that was great. And so the thing I've noticed about both Mehdi Hassan and Bill Maher, Rev, is how rarely either of those influencers seem to invite onto their popular programs people within your orbit and members of the Congressional Black Caucus. They often have lots of white or Arab leftists who have a lot of smoke for Democrats, mainly black and women Democrats, that they call the establishment or corporatists or capitalists. And Rev, another really troubling thing that I've noticed is how Obama's former speechwriters, the white guys who host Pod Save America, and those white Gentile ladies who host I've Had It, are calling for Hakeem Jeffries to be replaced while they are cheerleading, Rev, and clamoring for Graham Plattner, the guy who had a Nazi chest tattoo for nearly 2 decades and just got it covered up when he decided to run for the Senate, and who just last week was promoting an open anti-Semite podcaster who is a friend of his and whose podcast he's gone on. This is a man, Rev, Graham Plattner, who has been posting racist, misogynist, anti-LGBTQ garbage on Reddit for years, and somehow he's earned the trust of Obama's former speechwriters. I mean, Rev, what would Reverend Jackson say? And should the Democratic Party revive the Dixiecrat faction and just reverse the Southern strategy so we can put Bernie's choice for Maine in the Senate? I don't know, Rev. It's just too mad. It's just too crazy. Have
crazy.
a blessed
All
day,
right,
and
you
thank
have
you
a
for
blessed
taking my
day as
call.
well. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797. Be right back.
But Reverend, it looks bad now. Look at Iran. Look at what's going on in Minnesota. Look on. Yeah, but I was raised by them to realize that after storms, if we do the right thing in the storm, if we organize, if we register, if we do what we're supposed to do, there's always a rainbow coming out. The rainbow don't show until the storm is over. The rainbow gonna come out in November. The rainbow gonna come out in 28. We gonna fix these tricks in 26 and march through the gates in 28. We didn't come this far to turn around now. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, Hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain, but love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality.
Voting rights.
Everyone look here.
Say it again, Ms. Pearl.
Voting rights.
Voting rights. One more time, Ms. Pearl.
Voting rights.
There we go. Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
When do we need it?
Now. Yesterday.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we need it?
Now.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we need it?
Now.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people, and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, all of this about our friend Barack announcing today, I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history.
Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life, both historic, strong figures. But if I misused them and listened to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just wait. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned. People marched. Let us remember now as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president. I am your host, country more than Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Martin Luther King. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to the message board and give us a message at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and you can send a message at the live stream page. Janine Lamaya Scortino, I hope I'm saying the name right, Sciortino, saying, keep up the good work. I appreciate you saying that, and thank you for sending that message. Douglas Smith Sr. says, stop giving the wrong people credit for our history. Well, I definitely said that, and I keep repeating that. And Willie Franklin, 1689, says, good afternoon, Reverend Al Sharpton. And then from the 513 Cincinnati, Ohio. All right. And every once in a while we get some hate mail in, but I'm not even going to read that. Forget that. I'm not even going to give them that kind of energy. You know, they just have nothing else to do with their time. Bless their hearts. Let's go to Tampa, Florida on the phone. Tampa, Florida to Sam. Sam, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, good afternoon, Rev. I want to thank you for everything that you and all of our ancestors have done for us. And I'm calling from Tampa, Florida. I'm a real estate developer and broker in Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. And when I heard your call over the weekend, I wanted to know what could I do to be a part of making change. and I started looking at some numbers. In the United States, we have over 200,000 African American businesses. Less than 66% of those businesses have 10 employees or more. We are in need to reclaim not only our history, but our economy.
Right.
And I want to help reclaim the black belt. That black belt is from Texas all the way up to New York City, where you're at in Harlem. And the black belt is what created the wealth of America. We need to reclaim it, and one of the best ways for us to do that is starting with Selma. I saw you in Selma this past weekend. I wasn't there, but you were standing in front of our buildings. We own the corner lot at the foot of the bridge, and we have been working to redevelop that. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I said, go ahead. Wow, that's interesting. Go ahead.
So we have been planning to redevelop that into like an entertainment district that can bring more commerce and venues to Selma. But we need support of people not only on the local level but on the national level, because there's not enough people coming through. So our development is about $7.5 million to develop. But when we run the numbers as far as customers coming through, it would take us 10 to 15 years to recover the capital investment because there's just not enough traffic. So we're trying to find ways to partner with organizations not only to help us change Selma, but to reclaim the black belt by us owning and controlling our own economy through real estate development.
See, one of the things that comes to mind is that, and you or one of your colleagues should come up to the national convention, because we're going to have a couple of sessions on economic empowerment, and some of the elected officials. I've not announced all of them, but some of the guys and ladies run for president is going to be there, as Hakeem Jeffries and others, because we need, when you take the site you just said you owned right there by the bridge, well, there's no reason why people in various states are not having students come through there for tourism, creating tourism, why we don't have entertainers that would do certain festivals there and make it a Selma festival leading in. There's all kinds of things that we could do, because that's a historic site. And if blacks own it, we can rally around it. There are all kinds of things that the federal government, the Congress people should be doing around that. That's why we're having a convention, so that everybody can meet and network. That's why when we started, Sam, we called it National Action Network. We want to network people, because we don't only need people that are march, we need people that will do business. So we march to drive the businesses there. So I appreciate your call. Go to the website and get the information and see if you can make the convention.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I appreciate your call.
Thank you, Reverend Al.
Let's go to Mustafa in Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati, the buzz. Mustafa.
Good afternoon. I had a couple of questions for you. Maybe you can answer. During the Jackson funeral services, when the presidents came in and made this grand entrance, afterwards, after they were seated and in the building, they shut it down. Nobody else could get in. And it seemed to have become a political show with Obama, Biden, Harris, and Obama never invited Jesse to the White House during his 8 years. During his 8 years, he was never invited. But at his funeral, here he was speaking, and he cracked a joke about Father Flager being a crazy preacher. Do you think it got a bit politicized?
Absolutely not. I think you're being political. The fact is, the family invited all of the presidents, including Trump, and those three presidents accepted. And I think the family had a right to invite who they want. They know the history of Reverend Jackson and every one of them. And if they were fine with it, I don't know who you or me or anybody else have any word to do with it. It was the family's choice.
I just thought it became a bit of a dog and pony show with the Secret Service.
You asked me a question, I gave you an answer. I totally, unquestionably disagree with you. I respected the family, regardless of my opinion or yours. It was the family that orchestrated the funeral, that invited all of us, and any time I have presidential candidates coming to convention, and I've had presidents come to convention. Anytime you have them, you're going to have Secret Service. That is nothing unusual. And the family knew that when they invited them.
It's not unusual, but it seemed to become so centered around
I
their
answered
security.
you twice, Mustafa. I'm not going to belabor this because I'm not going to disrespect
I
the family.
appreciate that. I mean, we can have different opinions.
It's not an opinion. You have no opinion of what a family wants to do with their loved one. That's their family. That's their husband. That's their
always
father.
have opinion about what families
Okay,
do.
let's go on to the next one. Let's go to Mr. Yogi in Chicago. Mr. Yogi, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton. I'm not going to let somebody disrespect the family. And then somebody right-winger run out in the papers like they running this stuff on Jesse Jr., trying to say Reverend Sharpton and a caller said so-and-so against the family. I'm not going to do that. That's a setup. Let's go to Mr. Yogi in Chicago.
Yeah, Reverend Al, I saw you there. I was with the Senator Vincent Hughes. I was with him and his wife outside. So I saw everything out there. I was delivering people back and forth to the proceedings. That's why you didn't see me inside. But I agree with you on the last caller that that's their call. You know, everybody's looking for something to point a finger at instead of understanding that the fight is not with us, you know, it's with whatever is going on in this United States. That's where you got to point your finger at.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that I think we got to be very careful. And I've talked to Mustafa on the phone. We go back to James Brown Day. You got to be very careful that you play right into the right wing who listens to this show. And they'd love to say on Reverend Al's show today, he condemned the family, or he had a caller condemn and he wouldn't answer. You don't disrespect the legacy of Reverend Jackson. Whether you think the family should have done something, do that with your family. They did what they wanted.
Right.
And I have nothing to say. They told me where they wanted me both days, and I did that. And I was with Reverend Jackson 59 years. So let's leave it there. Don't let them make a mockery of this man's memory on some of our personal feelings.
And here's what we're gonna do. Ashley Shamley is running to be a judge. She's a 10-year lawyer in the city of Chicago. Young lady that's all up and down Stony Island between 95th Street and Hyde Park. She's running on the election. And that's what we need. Some younger looking people that's got the stamina to run. And we brought her all the way through Howard University and also DePaul Law School. And she's been a lawyer for 10 years. And she's running the Democrat for judge in that area. That's the same one that was at the entrepreneurs that we had with Earl Graves when we was doing the young people and bringing them up as business people. Remember that?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, remember that, Reverend Al? We had all those kids when Mr. Graves Sr. was with us. We did entrepreneur conferences with him. These girls that I'm talking about was between the ages of 5 and 7. And now you look at them now, they're running for all these different offices. The other one is beating out 7 guys to be part of a commando with the federal building that she's working out of here in Chicago. So the push is on, Reverend Al, and I'm so glad I played a part in all these young people's lives.
That's right, and that is important. We pass it from generation to generation, but we've got to don't plant good seeds in ground that's not fertile, so be real careful of the young people you pour into if they're going to continue to struggle, not be persuaded by their own ego or narcissism. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI. We supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI. And went in several cities around Costco's and Sharpton. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black march, black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning, because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C. We do 2 cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York in April for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attended convention last year in 2025. It needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you, we need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go further for the empowerment of all people. Happy New Year. And be focused.
I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Sheard knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the car center. And James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to us, Al, Meeks, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said, disciples? And for years we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior said, here's disciple number one. What discipleship meant you carried for the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return. But I talked to him about 3 years ago, and I reminded him, I said, remember when you brought me to the door of no return? He said, yeah. I said, well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you had.
You're live, sir. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we are back. 1-877-532-5797. And you can also go to the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. Joanne Kemp is on the board saying black leaders. Okay, y'all switch it. Black leaders who sacrifice their lives and happiness to do the work are always criticized by the weak, ineffective, and jealous people who can't rise above their own misery. That's true, Joanne. Georgia Daniel is saying, amen. Leave the Jackson family alone. I am amazed at how some people and the media want to deceive and spread lies to discredit the family. We should be proud of everything Reverend Jackson did. And I agree with that writer too. Tricia says, I know that's right. We can never keep our eye on the ball, and that's why we have regime in charge right now. I know that's right, Tricia. And the mayor, Rodney Jones, weighs under this. I had a black Trump supporter send me that Jesse Jackson Jr. Said that former presidents brought politics in their remarks when he told them not to. I knew that wasn't true. Where was Trump's representative? Let me just say this. Let me clear this up, because everybody knows how close I have been with the Jackson family and was with Reverend Jackson. Reverend Jackson laid at state for 2 days at Push headquarters. Everybody that wanted to come see him, with no Secret Service barring him, with nobody stopping him, had 2 full days. You could view his body, open casket. Then they took him to South Carolina and had a memorial at the Capitol. If the family chose for 1 day at the funeral that they wanted to invite U.S. presidents to come that would require extra security, you had 5 other days, including the last day at Push, to come. So why are we nitpicking on a family decision? It wasn't like that was the only time they had him available. They made him available at pain and cost to them. Secondly, all about bringing politics in, Jonathan Jackson, the congressman, second son of Jesse, talked about how people are moving toward fascism in his eulogy and how he didn't agree with the administration. So what do y'all talk about? My whole speech was about how we need to fight. So if you got a beef with President Obama or Biden or Clinton, don't use the Jacksons to get your beef off. Say what you got to say. But don't put it on them, and not at a time that they're going through grieving, because that's not fair. They went overboard, letting the public have a chance to mourn Reverend Jackson, come view the body, and the last day, overboard. Out of 5 days of public display, you're going to get upset on 1 day that the president comes, when you know they're going to have Secret Service there. They do it any ex-president. They do it at our events when we have ex-presidents come or ex-vice presidents. So let's be grown about that. And the reason I get upset about it is unfair to Mrs. Jackson and the family to even put that poison out there. Let's go to Pam. I think we got Pam, my dear friend, the activist extraordinaire in Chicago. Pam.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton, and I apologize to you and your audience for just cutting off the call like that. But you know, I'm trying to be an activist, and sometimes when the calls come in, they come in, Reverend Sharpton. So I apologize for that. No disrespect.
That's right.
Wow. First and foremost, I'm just quickly going to comment on the war. The war in Iran, it's about covering Epstein, and it's about covering up the destabilization of America by way of jobs, economy, safety, and the corruption that is coming out of the White House. So all of it is about the cover-up. And then, of course, if they think they can conquer Iran, then it's going to be about the real estate development. And I guess having a Mar-a-Lago, in the Middle East. So let's be clear about that. Let's make sure we still understand the Epstein files are still on the table. New Mexico, Epstein had a 10,000 acre ranch, Zorro, where the New Mexico legislators have said we've got a commission and we're going to investigate, because some of the most horrific assaults occurred on that ranch. So I want us to be clear. People, please look it up. Zorro Ranch. And then also the documents were released regarding the 13-year-old who did file charges saying that the adjudicated sexual abuser sexually abused her. And so you remember the interviews from the FBI. I think 3 of those documents were released.
Right.
So let's always keep our eyes on the prize, that we have a pedophile ring of millionaires and billionaires wanting to rape children. They don't want to feed them, don't want to give them health care, don't want to make sure they have education. But it's okay if they have these children at their beck and calls, this international ring, to rape them and sexually abuse them and perform experiments on them as they did Zorro Ranch, Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. Okay, let me move on. Reverend Sharpton, we're getting ready here for a primary, March 17th.
Right.
So I'm trying to make sure, all the ducks in a row, because I'm always looking for people who are going to represent the people and stand up for the people.
Right.
And let me say, it is with a saddened heart that, for me, Congressman Davis is not going to run again. Because I always understood Congressman Davis was about the people. He was about the community. And the 7th Congressional District is a diverse community, diverse of wealth, income levels, medical facilities, educational facilities. And he always stood with the people who needed the most and had the least. And I just, so I'm going to miss him. Many of us are going to miss him. But we're going to make sure that we put the right successor in office. So I wanted to make that comment. Next, regarding the Jackson funeral, I'm going to ask people to just stop it. Please stop it. This was one of the most dignified homegoing celebrations for this wonderful man who changed the world.
That's right.
Changed the world, and did it always thinking about the least of these. Now, the Jackson family, I don't know how many of us in our grief could hold about 4 or 5 different ceremonies.
Right. And they did.
And absolutely. And let me thank you for your address at the celebration. You called him on the carpet, Reverend Sharpton, as you always do.
Right.
If Reverend Jackson helped make you a billionaire, how have you given back?
Right.
That's plain and simple. Because I know we all should be, at the very least, we should be members. But if he's helped to make you a millionaire, what have you done? And guess what? You gave the assignment. It's not too late.
Right.
Because we're fighting a fascist monster
that's
in the White House.
That's right.
And their millionaires and billionaires are funding their organizations. So are we funding NAN? Are we funding PUSH, the NAACP, Legal Defense Fund, any and every church that is on the battlefield against fascism and hate? What are we doing in that respect? And I mean, we need to just, look inside yourself and ask the question. Because time is out for nonsense. And we've got to put our money where our mouth is.
That's right.
So I just wanted to get that out.
I appreciate that. Thank you as always, Pam. Let's take a break. 1-877-532-5797. Let me read a couple of these messages. Martise Chisholm from Memphis Nan says, don't forget the family wanted Reverend Jackson to lie in the Capitol, lay in state at the Capitol. It was denied. MAGA didn't say nothing about that. So let me get this right. Trump and them didn't let him lay in state at the Capitol, but you mad at the 3 Democratic presidents that showed up? Tanya said it best for me. Reverend Sharpton, Papa don't take no mess. You got that from James Brown. Tell it like it is. I sure did. Let's take our break. Be right back.
Time.
dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network for always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
that I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
Don't take it back.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected.
If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we are back 1-877-532-5797. And let's go to message board. Evangelist Ramsey says, so how are we going to get rid of tricks in 26, Reverend Sharpton? We have been trusting the wrong people, leaders, and even preachers. I've been around, especially in ministry, since 1995. Lord, have mercy on us and incline our hearts to keep your laws. And that's right. I think you're right, Evangelist Ramsey. And that's what we got to do. Well, I started the theme. That's the theme of the convention. Straighten out tricks in 26 so we can walk through the gates in 28. I said at Reverend Jackson's funeral. I guess some folks, that was too political too, but we was having Jesse Jackson's funeral, not yours. If you don't want no politics or movement stuff at your funeral, you should say that, and we'll respect that. But I think that we need to be very focused. That's why I hope, and we're way up in registration, but I'm still about 100 seats before I close it down. I'm really way over the line now, because I really want people not to just come and see the big names. Yes, a lot of the presidential candidates will be there, so the presumed presidential candidates, because none of them have announced. A lot of the officials will be there, a lot of people in celebrity land, a lot of the media people. I told you Don Lemon, others are coming. I want you to come, though, and hear, take notes, dialogue in the workshops. We want to come out of there being able to organize all over this country on the ground. On the ground. I'm not talking about some upstairs highfalutin media campaign. On the ground. We're going to the local communities. How do we mobilize it? We're going to plan that in this convention. Because our very rights at stake, they are on the precipice of taking back voting rights, y'all. This is no joke. Donald Trump has said he will not sign bills unless they pass the SAVE Act, which is voter ID and disenfranchising disproportionately blacks that are the ones that have the least ID that they want. That's what it's designed for. Supreme Court may take race as a factor out of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. This is not what could happen. This is what's happening. So be at the convention, April 8th through the 11th. Even if you can't do the whole 4 days, do one day, do a half a day. Because I'm telling you, we're going to shape history. You think we talking? I said that at the convention in 2007. We had everybody there that was running that time. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, both of them were in the Senate then. Joe Biden, who was in the Senate, he was running. Richardson from Arizona was running. And I told him we gonna make history. And a lot of our delegates, a lot of our participants heard about Obama for the first time. He ended up being president and came back twice as president to our convention. Came back in his first term as president, and he came back in second term. We ain't talking as just somebody with some theories. NAN's convention, National Action Network, has dealt from the presidents down to the street. People said when I started the television show, oh, he ain't going to be down in the grassroots no more. I am at the Saturday Action Rally every Saturday. 35 years, I might have missed 20 in 35 years. One of them was last weekend for Reverend Jackson's funeral. People that criticize me ain't been to one rally. So let's get all the negative and poison and the venom out of us, and let's save our community. Let's get serious. Let's go to the phones. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to Ira in Washington, D.C.
Hey, good evening, Reverend Sharpton. Thanks for taking my call. I'm just going to be real quick as I can. I just wanted to follow up on the news briefing that we had in Washington, D.C. I guess it's all over the world, but it's that particular president, he was saying some things, everything he said was not true, and I try to express that to people. The reason why he can say these things because most of the people that he talks on these stations, his friends owns these broadcast networks, and he can do what he wants. He asked me why they don't fact check him, because if you fact check him, he has nothing to talk about, because everything he says that comes out of his mouth is untruthful. So that's what I try to express to people. I don't believe nothing that comes out of his mouth, and I did that for specifically to let them know. And my last thing is for you. This is for you. I looked at a show last night called Tattletales. I don't ever watch TV. It was called Tattletales. Back in 1975 in August, Mr. James Brown and Deidre D.D. Jenkins Brown was on there. It was so funny. If you get a chance to look that back up, it's called Tattletales. It's a TV game show where husband and wife, they try to match each other's minds. And if you get a chance to look at that, it was so funny. James Brown was a young man then, and I mean, he was a real young man. So you get a chance to check it out.
D.D. Brown was who he was married to when I met him, and started working with him in '73 when he came to Brooklyn and did a show for my youth group, my national youth movement, because his son had come up from New York and joined. And Dee Dee was his second wife, and she was married, and she's the mother of Deanna and Yama. Deanna, who started the James Brown Musical Foundation, and her mama. And then I introduced him to his third wife. We were in California together, and he wanted to meet a certain young lady, and I'm the one who went over and brought her over there, and his last wife. So, I was all in the family of that one. I did not have my father left when I was young. I ended up with two families took me in, the Jacksons and the Browns. So I know that intimately when you say, I've seen that show you talking about. But thank you for your call.
So I thought you like that. So anyway, I just wanted to bring it up, and I'm glad you took my call. And I want you to have a good rest of your day.
All right, thank you for the call. Let me go to Douglas Smith Sr. Says he wants to ask a personal question. I'm 71 years old, only and thinking, can I help my people by getting an MDiv degree? I'm still a street activist, but will I be more helpful? I think if you think what you need, you could be 91. Go and do it and keep working for the people. If you're getting it for that reason, if it sharpens your ability to give the word and to do what needs to be done, then do it. Everybody doesn't need the same things. But if you know yourself and know what you need, get that and help you do that. And it doesn't matter what age you are. You can be 21 and be as ignorant and backwards as somebody 91. And you can be 91 and be more on top of what's going on, more vital and more relevant than somebody 21. Don't let anybody fool you about that. I'm in better health now than I was when I was 40. So don't worry about your age. Worry about your agenda. All right. Pam, Tanya Stovall saying Pam is always on point. Love her message always. And there's something so positive and a sweetness about Pam's voice. Pam really is special. Douglas Smith Sr. says, thanks, Rev. And I say, God bless you. All right, let's get ready for our break. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. Keeping it real. Down.
Robert Culp used to do a show with Bill Cosby, I Spy, and he did a documentary on breadbasket, Robert Culp.
Oh, wow.
You need to see that documentary. It's great.
Absolutely.
I lived this. I didn't read this. I lived it. I was there.
You true to this?
I'm true to this.
Not new to this.
I ain't new to this.
Vote to phone Troy.
He was, Jack O'Dell was one of the guys that Kennedy warned Dr. King about. Say he was a communist. Jack O'Dell and Stanley Levinson. And Reverend brought him in. Nobody else in the movement would deal with Jack. Reverend brought him in.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Just her.
Just her.
But there's stories behind all of it. It didn't just happen.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare. But I am somebody. I may be in jail, but I am somebody. I may be uneducated, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. I am somebody.
Come today. I see the Reverend Jesse Jackson is here. Yes. Lord, we thank you for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Yes. I see the Honorable Maxine Waters is here. Yes. We thank for Maxine Waters. You see the Reverend Al Sharpton is here. Yes. We thank
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president. But we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain, but love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values. You must never surrender to inequality.
Well, Reverend, it looks bad now. Look at Iran. Look at what's going on in Minnesota. Look on. Yeah, but I was raised by them to realize that after storms, if we do the right thing in the storm, if we organize, if we register, if we do what we're supposed to do, there's always a rainbow coming out. The rainbow don't show until the storm is over. The rainbow gonna come out in November. The rainbow gonna come out in 28. We gonna fix these tricks in 26 and march through the gates in 28. We didn't come this far to turn around now. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. Where in history is this? He said we always go one step forward and two backward. Well, here we are now. The problem is not Trump. The problem is us. We are allowing ourselves to be lowered and our children to feel inferior because you don't have an I am somebody person. You got our artists calling our women bees. Our others calling us niggas. What happened to us? What happened to black and proud? What happened? I'm gonna vote. What happened? Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. What happened to us?
Voting rights.
Everyone look here.
Say it again, Ms. Pearl.
Voting rights.
Voting rights. One more time, Ms. Pearl.
Voting rights.
There we go.
Voting rights. Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
Voting rights.
When do we want it? Now. When do we need it?
Now. Yesterday.
What do we want? Voting rights. When do we need it?
Now.
thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant,
Keeping it real.
unclear
I am your host,
who you are.
Reverend Al Sharpton. Tell it. Tuesday, let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Miss Barnes in Tampa, Florida. Miss Barnes.
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Yes, this is Khadijah. I was just calling. I wanted to say hello and give you my condolences of the passing of your fellow man and his family. I also wanted to make a comment that, you know, people think, excuse me, that you don't know no better and that you're a sitting duck. But in reality, you're a citizen just living life, and it may be so that something is happening and they're doing something in your face, and they're bamboozling you in your face, and you don't know. But at the when the time comes, you're still standing because you're still a citizen that is living their citizenship of their country, and so by all means, it ain't touching you, and then when the situation starts to develop and form, if you upright, you're gonna walk out of this thing untouchable, no matter what. People think you don't know nothing, that you ain't got no sense, you're a sitting duck, and think, but ain't nobody tapping you on the shoulder, saying something. You hear something here and there, and then when it all hits the fan, you know what to go to, you know how to, relate these things, put them together, put the pieces together, whether it fall or whatever the case might be. And, you ain't all, illiterate, ignorant, or uneducated. You probably don't have the highest of the high, but, people may come and think, they probably lower than you, and maybe they probably higher than you, but then they may be wicked too, and then they may be no better off than far as you could throw them. And so,
I got raw water for you.
Count anyone out, and you should always put one foot forward, stick your neck out, and do the best work that you can, even in the roughest situations. When you have to make things happen, I mean, there should be some second chances. The whole world shouldn't come upon your shoulders, and you don't have no one to lift you out of a jam. When you have all these activist leaders, our leaders are our ancestors. As far as me and my family, I consider y'all my ancestors, knowing that I do honor my family too. But when push comes to shove, y'all are my ancestors, and y'all are the ones that lift me up and take me where I need to go with the pride and with whatever I need. So I just wanted to say thank y'all very much, and I am so overwhelmed for Mrs. Jacqueline Brown Jackson. I know she's just going through it and just stumbling.
She's
But
a great,
hold her
great
from
woman,
stumbling.
strong woman. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, hold her.
We are joined now by our co-host, usually every Tuesday, and he's just back in the country. He was not with us last week. He was, I believe, in Egypt and other places, but he's back with us now. He is the senior pastor of the First Corinthian Baptist Church in Harlem, member of the National Board of National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Michael A. Warron. How you doing, Reverend?
Pretty good, Reverend Sharpton. How are you?
Good. How was your trip? Give us the highlights.
Man, it was life-changing, Rev. I'm not going to lie. We took 186 people to Egypt, and it was, we went from Cairo to Aswan. We went to Nile for 3 days, went to Luxor. It was amazing. But let me tell you, Rev, I came with something I wanted to say on this show. What I realized, Rev, is that we are good in our culture, and I'm talking about African Americans. We are good at memorializing our trauma, right? And for example, you hear so many people say we're going to go back to West Africa, go back to Ghana, the door of no return. We have made that an annual thing. We memorialize our trauma well, and not to say we shouldn't do those things. We don't do as good a job as memorializing our power, Rev. And to me, going to Egypt was powerful because we had conversations there, and there were so many times where people kept saying, well, how did they do this? How would they do this? It was mind-blowing. And these are things I've read about and heard about, but to see it, to touch it. I'll give you one example, Rev. We went to the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid is comprised of 2.5 million red granite stones, 2.5 million stones. There's no mortar, Rev, that binds these stones together, perfectly cut. And if that were not enough, 2.5 million stones, red granite stone does not exist in Cairo where the Great Pyramid is. So we had an Egyptologist with us. He said that the Egyptians got the red granite stone from Aswan territory 600 miles away. That means over 25 years that it took to build the Great Pyramid, they bought 2.5 million stones ranging in weight from 1 ton to 70 tons, 600 miles to build the pyramid, Rev. That was mind-blowing. And I was sitting there like, I just kept saying, look at our people doing surgeries. Where they were doing C-sections 3,000 years ago.
Wow.
I'm seeing all this, what they did, the instruments, the surgical instruments they use are very much like instruments now. And I just kept saying that nobody should, no person of African descent should close their eyes without having seen Egypt, because it was one of the most, I think, transformative and affirming experience I've ever had in my life, Rev. And it was powerful. Absolutely powerful.
What do you think is the most significant things that we in this country misconstrue, have a misperception about Egypt and about that part of the world?
Well, I think one of the things I understand, and I think we both know this, because of the greatness of Egypt, this is why for so long people tried to convince us, well, Egypt is in the Middle East. No, Egypt is in Africa. And when you go to other countries in Africa, they talk about how their ancestors came from Egypt. Egypt is the breadbasket of the world, the cradle of civilization. And I think that's the biggest thing that people don't some people have bought into the propaganda that Egypt is in the Middle East. No, it's in Africa.
Right.
These were African people. Our Egyptologist, when he started out our journey on at least my bus, we had 6 Egyptologists with us because we had 6 buses. First thing he said when he got on this bus, then he said, there's propaganda, people saying that, well, Egyptians don't consider themselves black. And I said to him, well, that's not strange because there's a whole lot of black folk in this country don't consider themselves black.
So you used to that.
Yeah. He said, but what I will say is that everyone, he said, Pastor, you, everyone on these buses, myself, he said, we are African, period.
Wow.
We are African.
Wow.
And that was how we began this journey. And it was absolutely unbelievable, man, Rev. And to see, he says, and I got to give you this, he said, notice, you don't see a lot of remains from the king's palaces or the king's homes where they lived. He said that wasn't their concern. He said it was 2 things that concerned the king. He said temples and tombs. where they honored God and where they went to be with God.
Temples and wow, I love it.
Temples and tombs.
That'll preach, as we say.
Look, you think it won't?
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna stay tuned online. I know it'll preach. Let me ask you, how did in your travels, how are people in that part of the world perceiving the United States now under Trump? Did any of that come up?
Not, I mean, the people I spoke to, what's interesting is that some people really make a distinction. They don't, in the conversation I had with a few people, they all agree Trump is crazy. But what they do is often begin, some of the ones I spoke with the history of oppression in America of African Americans.
Right.
And they understand that maybe a lot of us weren't really pro-Trump, but they understand how this democracy works. So that was but they all agreed Trump is crazy.
That's global. I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any recognition around the memorials around Reverend Jackson?
Yes, I had a conversation with a gentleman about that fact that he had passed away, and talked about the impact of Reverend Jackson globally, not just in America.
Right.
How what he did was global. The things he did, freeing hostages, going and on. So it was powerful. And I got to say, Rev, I really valued, and I'm not just saying this because we're friends, what you said at the funeral. I'm going to tell you why. I think there's a book called The Age of Grievance that's out, and it talks about how in our culture now, it seems like grievance is the way. Everybody wants to be mad. Everybody wants to be upset. We find new reasons to be upset about Trump every day. We got, videos and viral videos about Trump. But something you said, what has happened to us? It is easy to point out the dysfunction and the insanity of D.C., but to be a real leader in many ways, in the same spirit of King or Malcolm, and you could call this, it's not just being able to critique what we're against, but it's also holding our people to a higher standard.
Right.
Because you can't be a real social activist and not understand that you can do two things at once. You can critique what is the injustice and then also hold our people to a higher standard. And I think in this day and age, it has been too lopsided. And many people are fearful to publicly say certain things with regard to what we need to do as a people, because folk are worried about being canceled or losing followers, or they don't want to see negative videos about them. But if you're going to be, as King would say, if you're going to be a drum major in the tradition of King and Jesse, you got to speak truth to power, not just to the people you don't like, but to the people you love, too.
You got to tell the truth to your friends, your family, as well as your opposition. And it starts with telling the truth to yourself. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Sharpton, Wall Round. It is Tell It Tuesday. We'll be right back.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned. People marched. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor And more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, it's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are, because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. and I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of keeping it real. 2 decades of truth-telling, fearless advocacy, and keeping the people informed and empowered. Thank you for always speaking power to justice and standing firm for what's right. Here's to 20 years of impact and many more to come.
So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We were cool. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. It was one of the slave houses. Good to see you again, sir. It's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Right, last time. And we,
Alexander Shaw. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when, exactly. That was, exactly. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron is our co-host. One Reverend Walron just came back from a foreign trip, bringing many of his members and of 1 Corinthians with him. You know, the other thing, Reverend Walron, and I'm going back to the phones after this, 1-877-532-5797. The other thing, Dr. Walron, that always amazes me when I go to Africa or England or anywhere over there in Europe, how people globally, it came to mind when you talked about how everybody knows Trump is crazy. People know what's going on in the United States. I think that we underestimate how much the world watches what we're doing and how they look at us sometime with perplexity, and like, what are they doing? Because I remember a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, we were in South Africa for Nelson Mandela's, the celebration of his 100th birthday. And Joy Reid was on MSNBC then. and she and I and her husband, my daughter, was walking through the streets, and all the people knew me and knew the struggles. They didn't just say, "Oh, I've seen him on TV." They knew, "Oh, yeah, he did so and so and so and so." And I think that we underestimate a lot of it. I think is the technology. Is that we got people right now listening to this show all over the world, and global technology is for real.
Absolutely. I think this is not the moment where, well, you just said it. Everything is global now, and information certainly is. And it's easy right now for someone in Africa to find out information, to hear your show, and to get access to so many other things. I think what I realized, Reverend, maybe this is your experience, and when you go around the world, it seems that many people globally are more knowledgeable of things that are happening in our country than many of our people are here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so we're great on domestic issues. We're not great on foreign policy issues. And we sometimes operate with this arrogance, like everyone needs to know what's going on with us, when we're not abreast of everything that's going on globally, and oftentimes not abreast of what's happening within our own country. So that's been my experience. And, I read this article this morning, talked about, we have so much access to information that we're not tapping into. And tragically this morning, we're tapping into more conspiracy theories and falsehoods than we are truth and things that enhance our knowledge base.
No doubt about it. And I think, I go, you've met at our convention, Sir Simon Woolley, who started as an activist, and they put him in the House of Lords, did great work. And he comes and does our convention every year. He'll be there this year, talking about global affairs and global battles. And I go and speak for him at Cambridge and a brother at Oxford every year. And it amazes me. I'm talking about 18, 19-year-old students of all races. And Oxford's like the elite school in Europe, and Cambridge right next to it. How much, detail they know about what's going on in the country. I'm talking about legislation. And I think that I say to a lot of the young people around me and Nan, you got to be up to par to face the world, because some of the world is more informed than you are. They know the legislation better than you do and don't understand what we are not doing and what we are doing.
They understand the legislation. They understand how the political system works. Unlike many of our schools now, even in Europe and other places, they get classes on American politics. And so you find that they know more about the political system than many people here. I think one of the biggest fights we have, especially when it comes to election time, is people not understanding the powers and the limits of those they're voting for, those who are running for office. I think we see that nowhere better than here now in New York City, where I think many people who supported the current mayor were not fully aware of what a mayor could and could not do.
Right.
Whereas you can go to some other places and they are clear about American politics and how the political system works. We don't always tap into that. There was a once upon a time, Rev, when you were in school, I was in school, you had something called social studies or civics. You don't hear that anymore.
No.
Right?
No.
And you don't hear that anymore. So that means you have a generations of young people not understanding how this political system works. Or if you remember when I was a kid, you were a little bit older than me, Rev, but when I was a kid on Saturday mornings, they had that cartoon explaining American politics.
That's right.
How a bill becomes a law, all these things that we don't have now. And again, with all the information we have access to, we don't often have the inspiration to go get the information to learn more.
Absolutely right. Let me go to Gloria in Wisconsin. Gloria, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Walron. Gloria.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Oh, yes. I'm Gloria, and I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I have two main questions that I wanted to ask. And also, I was listening to, what's the name, Reverend one that just went to Egypt.
Yeah, Walron, right.
Yes. And my question is that how do we encourage our young youth now? When I was growing up, and the gentleman that answered the phone earlier, like I was telling him, I was raised down south. In Arkansas, down in the deep south. And I remember being a little girl where when we went to the doctors, the black people sit with African Americans sit on one side and the other one sit on the other side. And I remembering, where going to school and you could be friends at school, but when we seen each other at the grocery stores, we weren't allowed to speak or even act like we knew them.
Wow.
Yes, I grew up in that. I even remember during the time when they were segregating and my grandmother, which adopted me as her daughter, we going and getting my older sister now / auntie, and she's telling me, get down, and that's when they was wanting to segregate the school, the little small towns down there, and the people were out there, and they was like, it was a mob at the black school because they didn't want them to have to come to their school because they had made the law that, now we got to integrate, and it was terrible. I remember walking down the street, and they got swimming pools, and we barely even had swings. But to make it short, what I'm trying to say is, I have children of my own, and all my kids are grown. And when I'm watching you, or I'm looking at the things about Egypt and trying to educate them on our culture, that don't have people thinking that you didn't come from nothing. But it's kind of hard because, like, every time you turn the TV on, you turn the news on, all they do is wants to show some African American got shot, some Latino did this. It's always a race thing. And then they took now the grocery stores, the stores that we did have that was kind of decent. They took the grocery stores out of our community.
That's correct.
People who don't have cars, now you got to accept whatever you can get.
Yep.
And then on top of that, I talk to my kids and I'll be like, okay, what about the voting? And they don't feel that it helps them.
Yeah, it is a challenge. I got to take my break, Gloria. We'll answer you on the other side of the break. Thank you for your call. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Walron, be right back.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all
Thank
customers will
God
call.
I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there.
Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life.
Tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
In London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys, what's up, Doc? So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church
keeping it real.
does not come
I
with a
am your
prophetic
host, Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron, our co-host. Don't forget, Saturday, I will be at the Saturday Action Rally, and I'm looking for you. It's Women's History Month. I have a special message I want to give this Saturday about women in this time period. Meet us 9 a.m. to 11. I'll let you go at 11 at the Mother AME Zion Church. We're there temporarily. We are about ready, a couple of weeks, to announce our new location, permanent location for NAN. But meet me there Saturday at the Saturday Action Rally, 137th Street between 7th and Lenox, Mother AME Zion, historic church of Frederick Douglass, and Paul Robeson was a member there. Sojourner Truth came to altar, change the name there. It's a beautiful and historic site. Also, don't forget to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. I'll be there Saturday and Sunday, already lining up some of the members, senior members of the U.S. Senate and House, to explain to me why we're seeing this government shutdown continue, and Trump talking about he's not signing anything unless we pass the SAVE Act. A lot to talk into, and of course the implications of the Iran war, and the contradictory messages that's being given. So don't miss it. I'm going straight at some of those with influence and power. Also, don't forget I'm just going to take the last few registers for the National Action Network Convention, April 8th through the 11th in New York, Sheraton Times Square. And I'm telling you, I had said we were going to cut off registration at 5,000 because we wanted to save. We had over 10,000 people come through last year. It's all free. And we were going to save seats, and we have young students coming from the HBCU, a tour that Reverend Cassius Rudolph did for us. I did a couple of the cities. And we have our chapters. We have 132 chapters. But they handed me the note last night. We're almost at 7,000 now, so we're going to go well over 10,000. Sign up, because it's likely when I announce everybody coming to speak, it's going to go over the top, and you won't get a seat. We're going to go by the registrars. So go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651. Reverend Walron, what's going on at FCBC?
Reverend, in this Women's History Month, we begin our revival tonight, all women revival, March 10th, 17th, and 24th here at FCBC 116 and Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. And so we're excited. 3 Tuesdays in March, the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th, and it begins tonight. We're excited about it, Rev.
That's exciting. Okay. Let's go back to the phone. Let me get into Sage from the South. Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad, you keeping it real with Sharpton and Walron. Do we have Jihad?
I try to get him back, sir. I try to get him back.
All right, I don't hear him. As they're trying to get him back, I don't know if there was some technical situation there. You know, it is interesting that you mentioned about the women during the revival this year, Women's History Month, rather, in 1 Corinthians, because we still have lingering misogyny in the black church. It's not as bad as it was when I was growing up, but it's still there. And I think it's important for major churches to openly embrace that God pours Spirit out on who He might.
Got Jihad back.
Let's go back to the phones. We have Jihad.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Jihad.
Hello to both of you. I'm going to talk real fast. And welcome back, Walron. I'm glad you had a great time. Reverend Sharpton, the three presidents, unprecedented for common citizen, never a politician, never really a politician, ran for political office, but for three living presidents to come to that funeral is amazing and historic.
Yep.
And the three presidents who spoke, they spoke and they talked about not themselves. They talked about the Reverend Jesse Jackson for the period of time, and they honored him completely in the conversation. So for dude to be tripping is really sickening.
Yeah.
Secondly, the guy who called about Selma, Alabama, I agree with him 1,000%. You know, history will say to us 1,000 years ago, what are they going to write about us? What did we contribute? Reverend Warren just left Africa and talked about the great thing in Egypt, et cetera. But when they write history about us 1,000 years from now, what are they going to say? Did we take Selma and make it an institution? You know what I mean? Did we take Selma and build a society or build a city and refurbished it? You know, what are they going to say about us 1,000 years from now? We can't keep saying about what Africa did and what Egypt did. When we live also, and people in the future will have to talk about us. And last, Reverend Sharpton, the youth thing, you know what I mean? Black people, be cautious. You see where Trump them said they used the CIA to instigate the youth to bring about division in Iran.
That's
What
right.
make you think they want to do the same thing with us here?
Have
It's
done
really,
it.
You know,
Have done it.
Yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? And that office that they're talking about, there's only 400 and something congressmen. There's only 50 or something senators. That ain't like a job for be a plumber or electrician or painter or bus driver. You know what I mean? Those are special jobs that you can't afford to throw away seasoned people. We don't have time for experiment on those jobs where only 50 people get them and only 400 and something out of 320 million people get those jobs. Come on, let's take this thing seriously. Appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
You know, on that last point, Reverend Warren, I think I was talking to a young minister on our staff here at NAN. Biblically and historically, young people went to the elders for guidance. And, of course, they had the energy to do the work. This whole thing of being anti-elders, anti-older people, is not only suspect that they may be planted there, it's also anti-biblical and anti-history. I don't know where we started that from. In Africa, they would go to the village, to the chief of the village, who was usually one of the elders. And one of the things that you and I have consciously tried to do is you poured into your children. Your son is a master preacher. Both my daughters are activists. Even when I told them y'all ain't got to do that, they broke the gates and said, no, we're going to do that. And we pour into them, give them platforms, and we acknowledge who we came from. Both of us talk about Reverend William Gustus Jones, who mentored us.
Mm-hmm.
This whole new freak stuff, like we just don't have nothing to do with the old folks sit down, shut up, and listen to me, is a real intentional or unintentional trick, because nobody's born full grown. All of us had to be nurtured by somebody, and all of us need to be nurturing somebody.
Yeah, I mean, Rev, this cultural moment is so interesting. You know, as you said, we grew up, we always taught about respecting our elders, and you learn. I mean, I think we all went through the phase. I remember me as a teenager, you think you know everything,
right,
and you don't want to listen to to adults. But I think when you really understand, even in that day, there was still respect for our elders and our seniors in our community. I don't see that as much anymore. And so that is disheartening and alarming at the same time, because as you said, that means kind of the connective tissue to our past. If we don't respect that, being our seniors and elders, that means we're not really connected. I think we see a lot of disconnection with our young people and in our history, and I think in part because of the disconnection between intergenerational relationships. So I think it's something we have to really consider. But there's so many things in this cultural moment that are just intriguing, confounding. I think that is just one of them, Rev. But as you said, historically, even in African villages, even here, we went to the elders to learn. We went to the elders that are respect to pour into us. And sometimes we think, as you said, we already were born full grown. You got to learn from somewhere. And the only way you learn is to sit down and listen to the elders.
And I think also that we've got to deal with the fact that one of the things, among others, that I have admired and respected about you is maintaining institutions. It is easy to run all over the country
and be a one-night show, but to build an institution. And I knew when you became pastor and where you took it to and have made it a major institution, because that's the landmarks we got. That in Harlem, that's the landmarks we have. And I think that one of the reasons why I'm so happy we are getting a permanent institution for Nan is I can't bring my grandson and show him where Marcus Garvey organization was. It's not there. And other giants in Harlem. We talk about Harlem, where are the landmarks? And that's where so far the churches, Abyssinian, Mother Amy Zion, 1 Corinthians, are landmarks. So when we talk about 100 years from now, or as Jihad said, 1,000 years from now, you can look at 1 Corinthians and how they fed people, how they gave people that had been ignored in terms of mental health. They built those institutions. And by the way, Jesse Jackson went there, and Oprah Winfrey been there. And all. These are institutions that mean something in the long run. If somebody tell me Bessie Smith went to a certain church, that means something to me because I grew up learning about her. That's what 1 Corinthians will represent. And I keep telling folks, you're going to be dead longer than you're alive. You better use your living time to have something that history can say about you.
Absolutely. As you always say, Rev, that's your legacy. Your legacy is not about how much money you get, how much stuff you attain. Your legacy is how many people you poured into, that they keep your legacy and your name going. You know, we celebrate Reverend Jackson. Reverend Jackson's name will be called for years and years and years to come.
Right.
Because of the legacy he left and the amount of people he poured into.
No doubt about it. And you and I are among them, and glad about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Absolutely.
Let me thank Reverend Dr. Michael Walron. Thank God he's home safe and all that journeyed with him. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Whatever you do, keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Breaking news. The issues, the stories affecting you. Now here's the news from News1.com.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what we need.